delighted to say, already definitely on air, commentator Sam Armstrong, who joins us as always on a Monday morning. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Another quiet Monday morning, and you make this point every Monday, and you're right. Every single Monday, off you go.
Every single Monday, we walk into the Talk TV towers and we are greeted with yet another nonsense press release from the Home Office telling us this time, Julia.
Yes.
No, wait, this time. Finally solved illegal migration. Spoiler. They haven't. I don't think we're even going to insult our audience by spending that much time talking about...
No, that's the Prime Minister's job. He's the one who insults our audience. You're all racists. Just in case you didn't get the memo, you're all racists.
Can I just say, right, just for the ones that are too slow, you are not racist if you are concerned about people breaking into this country illegally, who are raping our women, stealing our jobs and changing our culture, all of which is happening en masse every single...
125 in one boat at the weekend.
They have literally invented another type of boats. They're calling it the mega dinghy, and 120 people are coming over. At the lowest estimate, each one of those people costs us £500,000. So that boat...
Bargain.
Cost us £60 million. When I say us, I mean anyone who pays taxes.
Lifetime, so the asylum hotel,
the drain on the taxpayer over their lifetime,
the £300 round trip
is
taxis,
going to cost at a minimum, and that is a gross underestimate, £500,000 per head. We had 1,000 people arriving. That is this weekend. £500 million out the door.
That's illegal migrants. But the policies that Shabana Mahmood and indeed Nigel Farage announced the other week, to much fanfare, and I have to say fully in agreement with every single word of it, was about legal migrants, people given visas. And we had the news on Friday, didn't we? The sort of mid-23 to mid-24. So before Labour were in charge, 755,000 people added to the British population, almost entirely, 98% of it was net migration. It was people immigration, people coming to the country. The year before that, it was 890,000 more people in the country, almost entirely down to immigration. People aren't having enough babies. In fact, more people are dying than having babies on average. Very few people leaving the country. That's the Boris wave. People say that, OK, it's okay to be bothered about illegal migration, but apparently until today, and the Home Secretary is going to make this announcement, we weren't allowed to be bothered about all the people who've come, not just coming here legally this week, but coming here legally for the last 20 years, who we were told were an economic benefit. Basically, virtually every single one of them was a high earner and working in the NHS, apparently. And now we're told, actually, no, from now on, you have to prove you're a good citizen, pay taxes, national insurance, be work, no benefits, clean, criminal record and all of that. Otherwise, you won't be able to get settled status and you'll be deported. What is the difference from that and what was announced by Nigel Farage a couple of weeks ago, which was that, but backdated? And if you've come here and you've been awarded settled status, you're going to have to reapply. And if you don't meet these tests, you're gone. I mean, why is one of those policies right and good? And why is one of those policies racist and immoral?
Let's just take what Keir Starmer says is racist. What Nigel Farage's proposal was that if you had come into the UK on a temporary visa and somebody had said you can come to the UK for 3 years, you can work here, stay as a care worker. You could also bring your entire family. And we know that Zimbabweans, for example, were bringing 10 members of their family for one person working.
I don't think I like 10 members of my family. Sorry.
In a care home. He says that if you think that, having had a look at that you don't want to let that person stay here, which they haven't been offered yet, forever, for as long as they and their family would like, no matter if they are contributing to our economy, no matter if they're committing crimes, no matter if they are making any sort of beneficial offering to their local area, Keir Starmer says if you believe that you think maybe at the end of that 3 years we can have a review and decide if you should stay or you should go, you are a racist. That is not racism. That is basic common sense.
Sanity.
It is a disgrace that we are not reviewing people at the end of it. If you go into a job, you go in and you might do 6 months, you might do a year, you might do 3 months, but you go through a probationary period. Why is it?
Oh, Labour want to get rid of that as well, by the way.
Why is it acceptable that when I go and start a new job, it's on the basis, come in, we'll have a look, we'll see if it's working. If it doesn't work out...
I've seen a lot of people who are great in an interview and then they can't quite keep it up for the 3 or 6 months, and then you go, this person is actually a slacker.
And of course, as you say, Julia, Keir Starmer says all of these people coming here are contributing. So why is it a problem if Nigel Farage says at the end of it, we're just going to check at the end of your 3 years
that's the
if
thing.
you're still making a contribution to this
If they're all such a benefit,
country?
then it won't be a problem, will it? I mean, this is the thing. And also, again, like this idea that, and if you are a foreigner, you never get to have benefits in this country. That's just not... You're not. If you're a British citizen, you get them. If otherwise, but again, the left freaking out. Just think, but hold on, but you told us these people weren't on benefits. You pick a side. We're in the same thing, aren't we? Look, I mean, it's obviously madness. Keir Starmer's also, he's been putting out some fascinating tweets. I have a funny feeling he's not writing them himself. He's not that pithy. He said at the weekend, it's national division or it's national renewal. That's the fight we face. What does that even mean?
Let me tell you what it means. It's just another way for that man to signal to the people he's got up in Liverpool who are behind him, the progressive left, that he is secretly, despite the fact he's paying lip service to the rest of us, he is secretly going to maintain the decades that we have had of mass migration. This is a man that doesn't care about the massive deterioration of working class jobs in this country. This is a man that doesn't care about the crime in our streets. This is a man that doesn't care about the mess. This is a man that doesn't care about hotels. He doesn't care about a bit of it. He is attempting to talk out of both sides of his mouth, to say to us, oh, look, I promise you, we are dealing with it, while he's saying to his own side, look, they're racists, I'm with you, but trust me, I have to talk like I'm one of them.
It's
a
wink,
liar.
Wink. It's interesting, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, has already said, look, a lot of people in the hall aren't going to like what she has to say. But these are policies they would be booing if you... This is what Nigel Farage announced, whereas in fact these have got massive support even from Labour voters. I mean, the thing is, I suppose, someone who 20 years ago could spend 20k on a donkey field for his mum. OK, yes, she was disabled, she was elderly. It was actually a beautiful, loving thing for a son to do. But it does look very questionable in terms of him being able to perfectly legally dodge inheritance tax on it. Either you own it or she owns it. Which is it? We're in Angela Rayner trust for her son territory. There's always a good reason behind it. But at the end of the day, you can't go around telling everybody else that they need to pay their tax and they shouldn't be dodging perfectly legally any tax, but then doing it yourself because it makes you a hypocrite, which we already knew he was. What do you make of his comments about VAT? Because interviewed on the B by Laura Kuenssberg yesterday, it genuinely was hilarious how many people, Labour supporters, were saying, oh, he was so good. He was so bad. I mean, he was just like trying to talk through the time, just like literally, if I keep talking, you can't ask me many more questions. I mean, quite apart from the fact that she did, all credit to her, she pushed him on ID cards, which we'll come to, but also on the VAT. Is he going to, would he or would he not refuse to raise VAT? 7 times he failed to say categorically, we will not be raising VAT. He kept saying, oh, those were our pledges, we stick by our pledges. And now today, Rachel Reeves sort of seems to have been saying she won't do it. But again, that doesn't mean things haven't changed because they'll suddenly discover a new black hole. But would it be so wrong if Labour did, given the state of the economy, if they did raise a tax which goes on everything and actually which is a very progressive tax in the sense that, the stuff that people most rely on, things like, food and stuff, isn't subject to VAT, children's clothes and stuff, but the expensive stuff, that the better off you are, the more stuff you buy that's expensive, you're paying more VAT. Given that we need to raise a hell of a lot more tax, because we ain't cutting any spending under this government, is that not one of the fairer taxes to raise?
Absolutely, categorically not. This is a rabble that came into office on the basis that Liz Truss wrecked the economy. You can trust us. Yeah. We know what we're doing. We've got an economist from the Bank of England to run to run our nation's finances. You can trust us. They have waltzed into office thinking that they could do it, thinking that it was easy, thinking that they had all the answers. The smuggest, most smarmy lot I've ever had the misfortune to witness. They have walked in and they have almost immediately tanked the economy yet further from the already low state that it was. We know it is basic that if you are spending hand over fist on migrants, on climate change, on welfare, that you are not going to be able to balance the books. Something has to give. And they promised. They looked down the barrel, looked them in the eye and said, we will not raise those taxes. If they can't get it done, if they can't balance the books, they should have and I haven't called for this until now, that they should have the respect to go back to the electorate and say, do you know what, we were elected on a false promise that we could not get this done.
Every government is elected on, I mean, I completely agree with you every single word, but every single government is elected on a false promise, because every single government seems to get elected saying, I mean, even you know, we've seen those polls showing that Reform would win a majority on current, you know, polling in the next election, you know, be able to have the mandate to do what they want to do. But there's still a whole, I mean, yes, they'll save money from net zero, they'll save money from various things they're going to do, but and all credit to them on that. But at the end of the day, voters do insist on saying they want this much spent on the NHS, they want this benefit for that person, they want that for that, they want this, they want all this, they want all that, more police, more this, but we want to pay fewer taxes and lower taxes. We'll just get those 5 billionaires over there to pay it all. I mean, all politicians need to say, categorically, stand in a line and say, guys, the numbers don't add up. Full stop. We've been lying to you. You've been playing along with it. You know it's not true. It's not how finances work. And if you want this, this, or this, you're going to have to pay more taxes for it. And yes, not just Mr. Rich billionaire over there.
But I want some accountability from politicians that knowingly or recklessly lied to the public. And we used to have it, right? George H.W. Bush Sr., he said before he was elected in 1988, read my lips, no new taxes. He put taxes up. What did the American people do with him? They booted him out. Yeah. And I want exactly the same thing to happen to these people. They knew what the sums were. There wasn't a black hole.
They didn't, yeah.
They walked in there. The first thing they did was they gave a massive pay rise to train drivers. All their own union mates are raking it in. This lot are just economically illiterate, and we are being forced to pay the price for it. They made a promise. If they can't keep to their promises, they need to go. Call an election, Starmer.
Yeah, I mean, 100% on that. What do you make of what we're going to hear from Rachel Reeves today? Young people who turn down a job after 18 months on benefits face being stripped of their state handouts. I mean, they won't. All people aged 18 to 21 who will have education, training or work. This is part of a youth guarantee. It echoes a plan that was floated by Rishi Sunak, focusing on the contribution. They're going to abolish, I mean, this is just laughable. They're going to abolish long-term youth unemployment. 1 in 8 young people currently NEETs, not in education, employment or training. The reality of this is a lot of these people aren't employable. Yep. They'll have to have a good reason not to work. Well, we know they won't. They'll all be on the sickness, because that's what they've been on the sick. That's what they've been doing. But also this idea you can't leave people long term. You're going to leave an 18-year-old without work, without any purpose in their life for 18 months. It should be 3 months. If you're going to do this, you've got 3 months. So you can have your summer after school. Then you've got to get a job. And if you can't get a job, we'll find you a job. And there is no access at all to any benefits. You have to be in work or training, full stop, end of, nothing to discuss. Now, I'm sorry, I think that might focus people's minds, including parents' minds, because an awful lot of parents, the feckless parents who brought up the feckless kids, and yes, if your kid is feckless, it's your fault. I don't know why people don't think this is part of your job as a parent, to turn out a hard-working young person. If you're not going to be getting their housing benefit to pay their rent for, they're not going to be able to afford to move out. They're going to be on your payroll. Make sure they can get a job. End of. It's very simple. This is basic 101 parenting.
Firstly, we are told day after day after day that the reason that we need to import half of the third world is because we haven't got people to do the jobs. Well, maybe if you stopped paying 18-year-olds to sit around playing Xbox and drinking cider, then we might be able to do again. We used to have plenty of people to do all the jobs we needed. There's no reason we don't now. Second thing, I cannot think of something worse for an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old than to sit around all day without a purpose, without a job. Thirdly, it is absolutely categorically a family's responsibility. If you have a child between 18 and 21 who is long-term unemployed that is doing exactly that, sitting around claiming they're depressed, playing Xbox, shame on you. Shame on you. It is your job to get them out, to get there. It'll be better for them. It'll be better for the country. And Labour
but make them the parents' problem in that sense. It's like, fine, when if you want to pay for them, that's fine. But we're not paying for them. End of. I do want to get to it. Small matter, just a small matter of us losing any control over our lives, being basically constantly monitored at all times, and the government being able to, at the drop of a hat, stop you from, for instance, being able to buy food, access healthcare, do anything you want to do. How? Well, if you have a digital ID card. No, it's not a little card. No, it's not like your driving licence or your passport or a credit card you've already got. It's going to be a government app on your phone probably, and unlike, you know, your NHS app, which has just got that information about you and is only updated when information is necessary to update, we're talking about a constantly updating record of where you are, what you do, where you go, where you spend, all your vaccinations, all of that. This is what the government's going to bring in. Brilliantly, 2.3 million people and counting every minute have already signed a petition saying no to digital ID cards. This is something that Tony Blair has pushed as a solution to every problem. I mean, Tony Blair stubs his toe, he gets out of bed and he thinks, if only we had digital ID cards, this wouldn't have happened. Keir Starmer has laughably, I mean, even the BBC is laughing at this, claimed that we can sort out illegal migration because they come here to work illegally. They denied that for years, by the way. Now it's been exposed on the front page of the Sun and the Mail. Then it's true. We're going to sort that out by having digital ID cards, because those employers who currently get people to work for half the minimum wage or less with no rights, just when they get off the boat and come out of their asylum hotel and cash in hand, they miraculously are now going to, having never asked for a national insurance number or a passport or proof of visa to work, and now miraculously going to be asking for your digital ID. I mean, unbelievable that once again, to stop criminality, and by the way, we know where these people are, you can find them easily. I could take my local police or my local Home Office officials to all the areas around mine, all the shops that I think they're illegal workers. I bet I'll be right 90% of the time. They apparently can't find them. But the the 70 million people in this country, the majority of us law-abiding people, we're going to be required to be constantly monitored and tracked, and possibly in future limited by our government in what we can do in terms of our freedoms, to deal with some blokes getting off a dinghy that the government won't deal with. This is insane. We have to give up our civil rights, our civil liberties, our freedoms that we have enjoyed in this country for 1,000 years. We have never been a papers, please society. There has never been a file kept on each and every one of you in some repository where little government officials can make a back mark against you. But we are going to have to give up that fundamental right, something about being English, in order to deal with migration, maybe. Nonsense.
But let me tell you, Julia, I have been in politics for a long time, and I know that when politicians suddenly make massive, big, controversial announcements like this, when they are going through a massive political turmoil of their own, that what they are trying to do is distract you from their problem and their own failings. But in a sense, I don't care if they're trying to solve migration through this route, or if they're trying to distract from their own problems. You stay away from my freedoms, because I'm telling you now, I'm not having it on my phone, I'm not using it, I'm not showing it, and I think they're going to have a real hard time trying to convince the people in this country to comply with this rubbish. If people have learnt nothing from the COVID period, they learnt nothing from the truckers in Canada, from what's going on in China, where you literally, if you're caught saying something wrong about the government, you can have your social credit limited so that you're not allowed to buy a train ticket. And we were talking about massive curtailment of freedom. And this is what the people who are behind this, the Larry Ellisons, the people at Tony Blair, this is what they talk about at their World Economic Forum. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's all about making money. But they think we need to be controlled. We need to be made to do the right thing. Well, no, or we could just stop the boats in the first place, and we could make sure that all employers who don't ask for official ID and proof of employment are fined till their eyeballs bleed. You get £100,000 fine, maybe even a prison term, if you employ an illegal worker. Do you think they'd still do it? Because I've got a funny feeling that they wouldn't. They need to know that it's going to happen. They need to know they're going to be caught, and they won't do it. You can solve it that way. But no, you're going to curtail our freedoms. All I know is that every single person I know has already said, I'd sooner go to prison than carry one of those cards. Ain't gonna happen. But let's not be distracted about why they're doing it. Again, as you say, this is about look over here, look over here. So much to talk about, loads of calls on the board. Can't wait to get to them.